everybody, it's Dave here from Vikings First and SKOL, and welcome to another episode of Who Will Be King, where we delve into the world of the NFC North. Today, we pose a question that has been on the minds of many. Will the loyal fans of... Why am I hearing myself twice? Okay, hold on. Somebody have their speakers on?
No.
I can turn it down so I don't. Anyways, back to that. Little technical difficulties. Today we're going to pose a question that has been on the minds of many. Will the loyal fans of the Detroit Lions have to endure another 30-plus years just to wait on another record loss? It's been a long road for the Detroit Lions, and since their last conference championship in 1991, and they did it again this season. The recent game against the 49ers was a roller coaster, with the Lions leading by 17 points at halftime, only to have the 49ers fight back with 27 unanswered points. This had never been done in an NFC Championship game before. The end game, a heart-wrenching 34-31 defeat for the Lions. It makes us wonder, would the outcome if it would have been different if the game was played on their home field in Detroit? If the officials hadn't messed up the call in Dallas on week 17. Let's delve into this and more as we dissect the game and the fans' reactions, especially those from Detroit. All next on this Fans First Sports Network's very own NFC North Roundup show. Who will be king? Let the battles begin. Hey, everybody, it's Dave here once again from Vikings First and SKOL, and I have an audio issue of some sort. Anyways, we're going to try to go press through. Today, we're talking, in particular, the NFC Championship Game, and to start that off, the longest-lasting team in the NFC North, the one that won the NFC North, the Detroit Lions. June Foster, what did you think of the game?
Boss?
Overall, it was a very competitive game. We got off to an amazing start. We were running at will. We had the big play from Jameson Williams. We had their backs against the wall. I feel like I saw, I don't want to say fear in the eyes of Shanahan, but he looked a bit frazzled by what was going on. They were able to hold us to a field goal at the end of the half. And then they saw, I don't want to say fear. But But yeah, they were able to hold us at the end of the second half, and they let us have it in the second half. They, like Dave said, they had 27 unanswered points. We were not able to convert on a few questionable fourth down situations. We fumbled the ball. McCaffrey got active was one of my biggest fears, and we just weren't able to overcome the onslaught in the second half.
Got to play 4 quarters of football. Period. Point blank. Played 2 very good quarters, and the second half he didn't play. He didn't show up, and that defense that I was worried about was on the field in the second half. So, yeah, it's just what it is. It's a tale of 2 halves, and they had a better second half than we had in the first. So they won.
But how did you all feel about the controversial kick the field goal or not kick the field goal decisions from your head coach?
We're used to it, man. He does this all the time. The thing is, the plays were there. They were both 2 drops by Josh Reynolds. I mean, if he makes those catches, we don't fuss. You know what I'm saying? So you can't have it both ways. We have a coach that gambles a lot, and when you gamble and make it, you love him, and when you gamble and miss, you hate him. You just can't have it both ways. I don't. We would like him to be more selective, but we got what we got. So
Yeah, he kind of contradicted himself in the first half when I think we had the momentum to go for it at the end of the half when we decided to kick the field goal. And I think some of us were at a sigh of relief, like, okay, I think he's learning from the mistakes he made in the past. So when we kicked the field goal and kicked the field goal, and then we took a couple of those chances in the second half when the momentum wasn't there, it was like, maybe that wasn't the time to do it. But like June said, he put, based upon the play that Ben Johnson chose or whoever made that decision, he put us in a position to convert, and it was 2 very uncharacteristic drops by Reynolds, and ultimately was a part of choosing our fate in that game. So I can't. I think that he could have played it better, and it's also really easy to look at things from the hindsight and say, well, he dropped it, so we shouldn't, because that's, of course, you can say that now.
Hey, man, there's too many happy people on this line. I mean, they hate the Lions that bad.
Oh,
man.
I'm not even reading.
Bro, that cost you a Super Bowl likely. How about make the playoffs likely? How about do that? I'm about to answer some of this stuff. Ego? Who has an ego? He's been coaching this way the whole season, even last season. Come on, man.
He did this. He coached that way when we were 3-13, and he had no
exactly
stain in the league. So
exactly.
I did.
Wow. That's your fans as a whole, were they disappointed?
Oh, for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, you think it was a funeral? They were. I've seen fans on TV. On the social medias cry. I mean, they really believed that it was a Super Bowl bound team and a Super Bowl winning team this year. It's a lot of people that actually bought into, regardless of what they've seen. They just knew this was the year. But it is what it is.
It didn't help that we got off to such a good start.
stuff like this happens with the Lions. I've been saying it all year long. It's the ultimate letdown. It's like we've been enduring this. It's like me and Foster don't get too ahead of ourselves when when it comes to talking about these games and predicting these games, because we know what can happen. And Sunday was one of those things where, stuff happens. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, talking about the letdowns, we want to welcome you to the crowd of the NFC North that have been through many of those, whether it be the Chicago Bears, the Vikings, or even the Green Bay Packers, especially against the 49ers.
Yeah, those 49ers have been terrorizing the whole division for a while now, huh?
What? That is what it is. But we do want to congratulate you to get that far. You ended up with the 29th pick in the draft. You can say you made it to the NFC Championship Game. And our next topic, which we'll get into, there's some good news on that end for the Detroit Lions. But before we go there, I want to start with Pay, our man from the Bear Claw podcast out of Chicago. It looks like, from what I've seen, the Bears are in a wholesale rebuild, not of the team, but of their coaching staff. Other than Eberflus, what has happened this week? I counted 483 new coaches, something like that?
We probably still need to hire some more because, as you said, the Bears have been rebuilding for quite a while. Yes, we did hire a defensive coordinator this past week. I believe he's going to continue down with the Eberflus plan of attack, which I guess that for cohesive purposes, that's a good thing. As you saw, the defense was totally different in the second half of the season. And if Eberflus is comfortable handing over the reins to him, then that's perfect. From what we understand, Eberflus is going to continue to call the plays during the season. Now, if that's all good and well, I would prefer him to take a step back further and just be the CEO of the team and not have his hand in game script as it relates. But when you're pretty much a lame duck like him, he's got to do what he's got to do. So hey, we're putting the pieces together. Now we can start focusing on drafting the next iteration of this team that we hope to challenge the Lions for the division coming up in 2024.
Yeah, and I've figured the Lions are the team to beat in this one. Now, when I did my research, you guys have hired offensive coordinator Shane Waldron, defensive coordinator, like you said, Eric Washington, quarterbacks coach Kerry Joseph, running backs coach Chad Morton, wide receivers coach Chris Berry, passing game coordinator Thomas Brown, and assistant O-line coach Jason Hottailing. Any of those guys, especially you're talking Waldron and Washington, do you expect to help? Especially most of them are offensive guys. What do you expect to come out of the offense? And do any of them point to where you're going to go in the draft?
That's the fascinating thing. None of these hires make any type of direct line towards any of the quarterbacks. That's Justin or Caleb Williams. So that is an amazing job from Ryan Poles. I think it's best he keeps his cards close to his chest. Don't make any sudden moves. Take it one day at a time. Get all the information you need from both quarterbacks, and then make a decision at close to midnight as you can. If you remember last year, he pretty much let it be known around the league that the number one pick was up for sale on this day, February 1st, 2023. He hasn't done that yet. I'm still crossing fingers that he doesn't. So if everything continues going according to plan, now they got their staff in order, let's start doing the work and start scouting. We haven't had Caleb Williams pro day yet. We haven't interviewed him once yet. Let's continue to move towards that. If Caleb Williams takes himself out of the running and just doesn't seem like a right fit for the coaches now, then perfect. We can sell off that asset and build a team from where we have now. But you don't know that until everybody has a look at them. So it's been not a bad week for the Bears, and very short on bad weeks so far in the last year. So let's continue that momentum.
Well, I think we're all going to be waiting for when Caleb Williams, Drake May, and Jaden Daniels have their pro days. And then it's going to be interesting to see who of the Bears are there. That may tip off the direction you're going. If they're smart, they'll be at all three. But it's interesting to see. And also if they're at the wide receivers as well. Or defensive tackle, or, something to throw off the scent.
I agree. You got to play the game right, Dave. You got to let everybody in the league think that, hey, I'm interested in whomever, and that's how you drive that price up. And we like inflation this time of year.
I bet you do. I know. One of the ESPN writers did what would it take for the Vikings to trade up for the number 1 pick, and it was 3 firsts and 3 seconds. It was like, ouch.
I would take that. 3 firsts and 3. And
I'm sure you would, Dave.
All right. The good news coming out of Detroit is you guys kept your coordinators. Did you expect that?
I expected to keep Aaron Glenn unless he was going to be removed. I expected Ben Johnson to take a job somewhere.
Well, and that's good news for you. They kept both Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn.
Yeah.
And running back. The rumor was that Ben Johnson was asking too much. Any truth to that?
About a month ago, there was, I don't know if it was a quote, but they were saying that his asking price was $15 million a year, which was no. There's only a couple coaches, Pete Carroll, Belichick, that was getting that kind of money, and there's no way a rookie coach would get that. So they said that he had asked for that much. But they said the reason being is he had no plans of leaving, and that's what it would take for him to leave. He couldn't turn anything like that down. So I don't know if that's how much weight that holds, though, because I didn't see any quote from him.
It's one way to take himself out of the running if he actually wanted to stay in Detroit, saying, hey, pay me 3 times what you would a rookie head coach, and I'll come coach. Otherwise,
or it could be a negotiation. It could be a negotiation ploy. Maybe you're not going to get 15, but you could get 8 or 9 because you're asking so high, and you might not be expecting 8 or 9. So if I ask for 15, and you say, "Wait a minute, well, we can do 8 or 9," but so it could, it could be that as well. But I was very surprised, because there was reports saying that he was going to the Washington Commanders after the season. I heard a Seattle rumor the week of just last week. So,
okay, you guys did hire one coach this week, Terrell Williams,
D-line coach,
the defensive run coordinator and D-line coach.
Yeah,
you think that's going to help?
If he can help Cam Sutton on the.
Hey, I think that's one of your weaknesses, or that could be areas for improvement, is just that, and I think it's a good hire for you guys.
Yeah, I think it's a good hire. There's a couple of glaring issues on that defense. Me and Foster have been talking about it all year. So the defensive line, getting a defensive run coordinator or defensive line coach may be able to help. Your corners your defensive line can actually make or break your corners according to the pass rush and getting home. So
Tell me about it.
so hopefully this free agency period is good to us as far as addressing some more needs.
Well, when it comes to Vikings coaches, one, we need a defensive line coach. Ours left towards 3/4 into the season to take a head coaching job, I think at Purdue or someplace like that. And that's one of the holes we have. But we have not hired anybody on the Vikings to this date that I've seen. We did retrain 2 people that I did not want to lose. And that is our wide receivers coach, Keenan McCardell. I was afraid he was going to get sniped to become an offensive coordinator somewhere. He deserves that. He's that good, but I'm glad he stays because, hey, he's an outstanding wide receivers coach. Secondly, we retained Brian Flores for the second year because he got 0 interest across the league as a head coach candidate, whether that has to do with his lawsuit against the league or what, or the fact that, you know, he had our defense so good up until we started losing people due to injury. I don't know, but I'm glad that he is staying as well. Now, when it comes to our friends that are sandwiched in between us, to the east of the Vikings, to the west of the Lions, to the north of the Bears, the Cheesers up in Green Bay, the Packers did have some coaching news this last week. They have hired a new defensive coordinator, Jeff Hafley, the former head coach of Boston College. Now, I love BC Eagles. It was one of the schools I visited at the end of my junior year. A buddy of mine was being recruited to play down there. He was a guard, and we went down there and went on the campus, and it was just wonderful sights everywhere. It was fabulous. Anyways, Hafley was hired to be the head coach. He had basically a 500-ish record first year, 500-ish record second year, horrible record third year. And then this last year was the fourth, and it was right around 500. And his seat was getting super duper hot, as we all know, and he was probably going to get fired. Well, so what makes him an expert to become a defensive coordinator in Green Bay? Well, it's not what you know, it's who you know. He comes from a defensive background. That's where he cut his chops. But he is the friend, reportedly, of Matt LaFleur. And so if you know Matt LaFleur, hey, buddy, I need a new job. Can you hire me? And that's the way it looks. How it will go for the Packers, well, you know, we won't find out until next season. Hopefully it goes miserably. But it's going to be interesting to see. Also this week, they had their GM, Brian Gutekunst, have his end of the season press conference. And he believes that the versatility of the defensive front that Hafley will bring will pay dividends. We'll see. We'll find out. And Gutekunst, also said he expects the Packers to be in the Super Bowl in 2024. Well, Brian, you may be smoking a little bit too much of that cheese, and it's gone to your head. But we'll find out in 2024 when we battle to take the crown from the Detroit Lions. Any comment, Pay, on what you think the Packers did?
I'm not. I mean, I think it's like more of a moot point for me. It's not a bad move, but definitely one that they needed to make. They did need a new direction coming from the defensive side. So, but with all that said, how much of it will it work? Or how much of it will it be a success? We'll have to see that, as you said, see it when it happens in the season. But I mean, they did need a new voice. A lot of times during the season, their defense was lost, if not just stuck in the mud. So the writing was on the wall. But yeah, unless we won't know, I guess, how it will play out on the field until free agent kicks off, the draft, see what they can do on the field. But as of right now, I think it's more of a wait and see approach for that, on my opinion, for them.
Yeah. We'll wait, we'll see, and we'll hear the fans from that state espouse on it all during the offseason, as we normally do. We're used to it. Right, June? You gave me that look.
You're right.
All right. That brings us to what's happening this week, right? It's the All-Star Game week. We have one going today, the Shriner Bowl, and there's supposedly about 10 teams or 10 players down there that are NFL worthy, and Chicago has their part of, I think, their defensive staff down there helping coach there. And then we also have the Senior Bowl going on down in Mobile, Alabama, where Vikings first and SKOL's very own Tyler Fornes is reporting daily from it as he evaluates college players and run up for the draft for not only Vikings, but all teams coming up. He's looking at all sorts of players. How does your team use these all-star games and the preparations, the practices thereof, for preparation for the draft? June, do you know?
I have no idea.
Okay, Foster?
What was the question again?
How do the Lions view these all-star games? I'm sure they've got people down there. I don't know who, whether it be the GM, whether it be coaches, scouts. How do they use, like, the Senior Bowl in particular, but also the Shrine Bowl, to evaluate talent and get ready for the draft?
I don't know, like, specifically. I mean, I would assume they definitely take that opportunity to talk to them, evaluate not just their skill set, but also where their heads at. But I
Dave,
don't know specifically.
have you paid attention to the Lions draft the last 10 years? I can sum it up in a couple short sentences. Usually top 7, 8 picks, take the best player available or a tight end. That's usually
Yeah. Yes, that's true. But it's you've done well here recently. That's why I was curious.
Last year was a very good draft, even though I didn't agree with any of the picks at the time. But last year was a very good draft. But usually it's the Lions are, for instance, I think when you go to the Senior Bowl and the Shrine Bowl to look at talent, those are picks that are usually you have to do your homework on as far as, later on in the first round or something like that, because the cream of the crop aren't playing in those games. Yeah. They're getting ready for the combine, and that's what the and we haven't picked at 29, and I don't know, God knows when. It's usually a top 10 pick. So as far as going to, I probably never sent anyone to the Shrine Bowl.
You haven't picked at 29 since 1991.
So it's unfamiliar territory.
Pay, who have you guys got down there? I know you've got a defensive staff down at the Shrine Bowl, but you have also got folks down at Mobile.
Yeah, we're sending all the coaching staff to one of the games. You said the defensive staff going to the Shrine. Offensive guys, and I believe Ryan Poles is going with them, are going to the other other games. I'm not sure if they're going to split up and do any other like special scouting, but from all signs point to the all hands on deck, which is a if you got 2 years in a row, you have the number one pick. You have no excuse not to have boots on the ground scouting everybody.
Right. And, the first pick obviously isn't there. Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels are not there, right? JJ McCarthy isn't even. But it gets you all that. Who are we picking in the second? Who are we picking in the third and the fourth, right? The day 2 and day 3 picks.
Right.
That are so important that could mean something. For me, I love watching the lineman drills, right? The one-on-ones, who's doing pass rushing, how's the tackle doing against the pass rusher, how's the guard doing, how's the center doing. Seeing Devontae Sweat just totally destroy a center, things like that is what I get all excited about. And so that's what I use this time for, is to we're starting to get the notion of what players are where we're going to start slotting them, right? Who to look for. Yeah, you could do a bazillion mock drafts, right? And you could figure out is how whoever, be it PFF or Draft Tech or whoever you're doing the mock draft with, figures they're going to rack and stack. But this is where you get in your mind. I really liked player X and his style. I liked how he did this. I liked how he used his hands, how he locked down, how somebody ran a route, right? There was a kid from Michigan, the wide receiver, that's taking it by storm down at Mobile and is just beating everybody. And it's like everybody didn't think, hey, this kid wasn't a first-round talent. Well, he's up in his draft stock. The quarterbacks down there, Penix, Nix, they're not doing so well. So, especially Nix. Penix is doing okay. Nix is not. But it's interesting to see how these guys are doing as we run up to, we'll go through free agency, but we run up to the draft, which is a big part of Fans First Sports Network. The network is going to be doing tons and tons of shows across the channel, whether it be FFSN NFL, whether it be your particular team. They'll be doing draft shows, getting ready for, talking about prospects. I'm surprised, Pay, you haven't done a deep dive on Caleb Evans yet.
You mean Caleb Williams or
Caleb Williams? Yeah, Caleb Williams.
Oh.
Well, Evans plays for me. Anyways, never mind. Slip of the tongue.
I was going to say, are you making a prophecy towards us going to get one of your guys?
Yeah, maybe one of our corners.
As long as we don't have to trade off one of our first round picks, maybe we can use them. But no, on the Bear Claw DBC, we are doing a series this whole offseason leading up to the draft, Justin versus Caleb. And, we're going to attack it from all angles. Me and my co-hosts are debating it. We're having guests, interviewers come in and debate the topic, those from across the FFSN network, some who are interested in getting one of those quarterbacks from us. I'm doing street interviews all through Chicago, and we're getting the pulse for how it's a lot of people have passionate takes on this topic, as you can imagine. We're getting the pulse of how Bear Nation feels on this, because it is and I'm not underselling this. This is the biggest topic of the NFL offseason.
That's cool. June Foster, do you guys get into the draft? Is this coming up, or do we need to hold your hands and bring you along?
No. We're into it. Yeah. We're into it. Let me. I gotta answer one of these comments here, Mr. Delton Vincent. He said this guy would take Gibbs over Jalen Carter. Ha ha ha. I'm gonna tell you something. I was definitely upset about the trading down and not picking Jalen Carter. Foster can attest to that. I was disappointed. However, I'm not mad at what happened afterwards and through it all. I'm very glad that Gibbs was here. I mean, what we needed was an edge rusher, not a tackle. So that plays a big part of probably why they picked Gibbs. I cannot complain. I'm sorry.
Can you imagine what we would be like without Jahmyr Gibbs? I
It
mean,
turned out pretty good. So,
and we had a lot of running backs get hurt. We had Bam Carter, and we had guys quit. You know, we would have been in trouble. That's all I can really say if you take away Jahmyr Gibbs. So.
I was an advocate of Jalen Carter. Get Jalen Carter, and when they traded down, I was probably the most upset. Just mad about it. But the results, I can't argue with the results. Now, as far as this draft, it's here in Detroit. Me and Foster will be in the building. It's good to see up front what's going on, but I think the people that I would like to see at the draft, and I'm wrong every year as far as what we should get and what we're going to get, so it doesn't really matter. But I think the player in particular that I like to see at the draft, the Lions will get, I don't think he'll be there at 29.
Well, since you're going to be there, now they won't allow you to broadcast live. I'd say
No.
do the NFC North, Who Will Be King show live. You guys being live there.
I mean, with our phones, we might be able to, you know.
That would be awesome. Wow, that's cool. Well, guys, that's all I had planned for today's show. And I'm dealing with this echo, which is driving me absolutely batty. Is there any last words? June Foster, are you over the loss as of yet? And are you starting to get psyched up for the offseason?
I was over it by Tuesday. To be honest, I didn't think the defense was a Super Bowl caliber defense. So it's just the way you lose that game and what hurt the most. Like, I wasn't surprised at the result, but to be up 24-7 and to be down 10 in the second half is sickening. So I got over it pretty fast. It was just more so the way, you know, the game went as far as losing as far as being up 17. That bothers me. But I was over it by Monday or Tuesday.
That's because you're old like me, June, and we've been through a lot of this.
Yeah.
Foster, you feeling better yet? Have you gone through the stages of grief?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I would share the sentiments of it's kind of the way it went, that it happened, that makes it so tough, and the fact that we were in the ball game. And ironically, you know, with the defense not being a Super Bowl defense, it was more so the offense that kind of burned us in the game with the turnovers and the not being able to convert on fourth down and stuff like that. But yeah, I definitely had to kind of step away from social media a little bit and get away from all the, you know, couch GMs and people that had to say what they needed to say about the coaching and et cetera, et cetera. But I'm definitely excited about the draft coverage and just the simple fact that we don't have as many needs, as glaring needs as we had in the past, where we were just kind of like, get the best available guy, whether he's a receiver, a tight end. We can narrow things down more so this year and focus on the biggest things, which is the edge rusher and cornerback and the free agency. I'm really excited about free agency as well, because that starts before the draft, I believe. So that'll help our clarity even more, being able to, because I think we had Montgomery before we even had Gibbs, which is why people were scratching their heads so much about it. It's like, oh, we just got our number one guy. So, but I have full trust in what Brad Holmes will do, and I'm excited. I'm excited.
That's cool. And you're right. Free agency comes first. and we'll build up to both. You know, the draft process starts this week, basically, with the Senior Bowl. They like to say that. But the free agency happens March 13th. And between now, down in Mobile and possibly a little bit up in Dallas for the Shrine Bowl, there's a little bit of talking. How many oranges would you give me for X player? You know, type of deals going on. That will continue up until we get through the combine. And there it goes into full force. Not that they, you know, tamper with stuff like that. It's they're just talking hypotheticals. How many oranges for apples or this, that, whatever. But it all builds up and comes together. But yes, free agency, like we've always said, fill the holes of immediate need with that, and then draft for talent to build up the rest. And yes, 100%. And free agency is going to be fun. And you guys are good for cap space. I don't think you're quite as good as Chicago on that. Not only are they pick rich, they're also rich when it comes to cap space. Unlike the Green Bay Packers are in the hole and they got to make some money. What are you excited about coming forward there, Pay?
Yeah, I like that you brought that up. We do have a lot of cap space. We should have we should have at least 15 million more by the time free agency starts, because there's some guys we need to cut expeditiously. I'm not going to say their names, but you know, if you've been following the DBC, we've been talking about them all season. But you know what? They need not to come back out for week 5, 6, 7, 8,
That
9.
early in the season, Pay?
Hey, there's been some disgusting play. We started 0-5, so yeah, it did start that early. There's some guys, 3 of them on the offensive line, a few of them are in the back end of the defense. But we go ahead and get rid of them. You can free up about $15 million more in cap space, and we can have some room to play. We had the most money last offseason going into the free agency, and Poles he wasn't Daddy Warbucks like we expect him to be. We needed this season. You needed this season. No more time to wait. No more time to wait. Everybody's job is on the line. Let's kick this into overdrive. Make some smart decisions during the draft. No more trading back and then you know, making ho hum picks. No more of that. Let's make splashes. Let's sign some good veterans out there. Some nice deals. Let's get it done.
Well, I think that's what brings you closer to Detroit than we'll get. We have some cap space, but I hope to free up even more. But whether we can go or not, I don't know. We'll find out. Well, folks, I want to thank everybody that's been watching today, mostly my crew from Vikings First and SKOL. If there's anybody else, hey, welcome to the show. We do this every week. We love to talk the NFC North. It was just my turn to host it this week. And you can always find us here. There's fun jabbing between all of us. We'd love, and we mean that from our hearts, to have a Green Bay Packers representative. If you know anybody that does podcasts or like to get into the podcasts, point them towards Fans First Sports Network, and so that we can vet them and then join this crew. I've already got a 5-person screen set up so we can have a man in the middle. Anyways, we'd love to have them. With that, what do we say? Pay?
Bear down.
We say on the Viking side, SKOL Vikings. What did the Lions say?
Little toilet boy.
That was better. All right. Thanks, everyone. See you next week. Like, subscribe, and rate us on your favorite podcast aggregator. Thank you for listening to this NFC North group effort on the Fans First Sports Network. This has been a Bear Claw podcast. Bleachers to Speakers, Vikings First and SKOL, and of course, a Fans First Sports Network production. Thank you for listening. And we're off the air.
That was great.
Oh, I was struggling because I'm getting a 15-second feedback in my headphones. And I have no idea where it's coming from, and it's the first time it's happened.
Yeah, that would be nerve-wracking.
I still after I shut this down, I'm going to reboot my roadcaster, and hopefully that's it.
You have another show right after this, right?
Normally, yes.
No, your show is
because normally we do it on Wednesday. It's on Wednesday night. I do not have one after this one.
Oh, you got time to troubleshoot.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and we did last night's show just fine. Like I said, I got Tyler down there in Mobile. He's doing all his reports. He's posting up shorts. And I'm sorry I didn't get you guys to promote your channels. He's posting up shorts. If you ever need a draft expert, Tyler Fornes is your guy. He can sit there and rack and stack everybody, and he's grinding film. He loves that. Besides Vikings First and SKOL, he's the managing editor of Vikings Wire for USA Today, and he writes for the College Football Network. It's part of his job. He does it full time. So,
okay. All righty, Dave. When are you free for an eCam lesson?
Oh shit! Tomorrow.
Okay.
If you are,
I'll be free after 5.
Okay, let's do it tomorrow.
Okay.
I got nothing that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Cool. I was saying I definitely want to reach out to him. I want to pick his brain on some things. Maybe even have him on as a guest.
Okay. He'll be back. Tomorrow's the last day, and then they fly back.
Okay.
He doesn't stay for the game. So.
Excellent.
Okay. Cool beans. Thanks, guys. I need to shut the things down and refire stuff up. So I will talk to you later. I will try to get this out to you as quick as possible.
All right. Thanks.
All righty.